Hello ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and today I'm going to be making a Godzilla Battle Line tier list. I just hit King of the Monsters, so I finally feel like I'm ready to do this. I'm like, what's my rank right now? 1,063? I'm doing pretty well, bro. I feel like I'm gonna be top 1,000 before the season's over at the end of this month. But, that's neither here nor there. Before we start, I would like to give a special shout out to Sir Melee for giving me the link needed to make this. He's the man. He's a very good content creator for this game. A lot of guides and a lot of going over the events and some of the issues in the game. He's the man, dude. He's very good. We're all in his Discord server for the game, and that's where we all talk about the game. He should have way more subscribers than he does, honestly, but that's neither here nor there as well. So shout out to Sir Melee for making this video possible right here. Okay, so before we start, the meta for this game. The state of the game is weird. This tier list is being made right after the 4-star buff, so all the 4-star units are insanely good right now. Well, not all of them are insanely good, but like the meta has shifted around the 4-star units in a very negative way to where whoever's got the highest level 4-star pieces is pretty much going to win the game. I do not like this meta. I liked the previous meta better, actually, even though the game was slower and there needed to be some changes. The changes that we got, I feel like, have moved the game in a worse direction, but not that it can't recover from it. All we need is more units in the game. Like we need three of the 4 S tiers need toned down a little bit, and then one of the S tiers needs the environment around them to just change, and then it'll be a little bit better and a more balanced. Okay, so that's where the meta is. The S tier units are shaping the game to a very extreme degree right now, and that's why when we do this tier list right here, I want to start with them. I usually start with the bottom tiers and go up, but for this game, I feel like it's important to understand what's happening in S tier right now because everybody's doing it. Okay, so the first S tier unit and the best character in the game right now is Godzilla Ultima. In my view, Godzilla Ultima is the win condition of the game right now, and we're gonna go ahead and rank Terrestrius right now too as the strongest A tier unit. Maybe not the strongest, but like a solid A tier. So we'll go over Ultima first. Ultima is the game's win condition. You need to evolve your Terrestrius into Ultima before your opponent does, so your Ultima can just charge up the middle, supported by a Ghidorah, and then win the game. Okay? Godzilla 89 can also fill that role, which we'll get into, but most decks in the game are using this strategy. This is the meta. There are some off-meta stuff that doesn't really use Terrestrius, but 99% of the decks you play against are going to be using this strategy because Terrestrius Ultima is so consistent at getting in there, being out of range of the leader, better at dealing with swarms than Godzilla 89 is. The motherfucker puts some big damage on the board really quick, and you can't afford to let him get anywhere near your captain, or you are just going to be taking insane damage, and no matter how much you hit the fucker, he's still going to get 3 or 4 shots off, and that can pretty much be game. Especially if the deck that you're playing against is good at cycling, and it's just over if Ultima gets in there, pretty much. Because as soon as you kill the motherfucker, he's going to get placed right back out if the deck is getting good at cycling. So, yeah, he kills King Ghidorah, which is huge. He can kill Mothra, which is huge. He can give big damage to 89 and potentially kill him, depending on his health. The guy has a positive matchup versus every unit in the game except himself when he is facing himself at a higher level / higher health. Exactly, that's the thing. Even when he's super low on health, most of his matchups are positive. That's why he's so fucking good. He needs a range tone down and a damage tone down. He can keep his bulk, I think, or maybe you tone his bulk down a little bit. I don't know, but like Ultima is a unit that needs toned down. Okay, now regarding Terrestrius, his pre-form, a very, very good unit. He can hit Ghidorah for some very, very good damage and even beat Ghidorah in a 1v1 without taking too much time away or losing too much health, which is very, very big right now in the metagame because there is not a lot of anti-air support, which we'll get to that when we talk about Ghidorah. But the issue is with him that it's not that he's weak, it's just that a lot of decks are very, very good at killing him, and that's why he's not S tier. And he's definitely not as strong as the S tier. It's not that he's not strong, because again, he can 1v1 Ghidorah and Mothra sometimes and win. But if you you have to basically overstimulate him and kill him. And a lot of decks are very good at killing him because you have to be if you want to stop Ultima from getting out on the board. So because if you stop Terrestrius from evolving even one time, that's pretty much GG. So a lot of decks are very, very good at getting right over to this guy and taking advantage of his weaknesses and killing him. So he's not S tier for that reason, because he is kind of a big target, but he's still a very solid unit, and when played right at the right time, you can pretty much secure his evolution, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. So, very, very good card as well. If he did not evolve into Ultima, he would still be good. In fact, I dare say that in the current meta, if he didn't evolve into Ultima, he would be S tier. For real. The only reason he's A tier right now is because Ultima is better, and then the setups for killing him are very, very good. And you kind of have to devote resources into him. He's not as Ultima's less resource dependent, because Ultima can pretty much take care of himself, but the fact that you absolutely can't let him die means you have to devote more resources to him. So yeah, that's why he's not S tier himself, but he's still very, very good. Alright. The second best character in the game right now, and the second best S tier unit, is King Ghidorah, who was just buffed. They lowered his cost to 6 and changed some stat distributions on him, and he's very, very good. He is the best swarm counter in the entire game. Previous to this, you would see Kamakuras destroy a larva, Kamakura Swarm in pretty much every deck that meant anything. You would see one of those. Mostly destroy a larva and regular Kamakuras. But Ghidorah now fucking blows them up, which is really, really big because of how high cost heavy they are. 5 costs for destroy a larva, 5 costs for Kamakura Swarm. You can't be losing. You have to get value out of those units because of how much they cost. If Ghidorah comes in and blows them up in 2 seconds, you're losing a lot of resources. Okay? He also kills the regular Kamakuras as well, but that's not as bad because it's only 2 costs. But him killing the swarm units right now is really, really big because he is shaping the deck construction around him. That's why he's S tier. Well, there's other reasons, but that's the main reason right now. You have to be able to deal with this guy. You have to be able to either place plague units around him or have a deck that he doesn't counter as much. So maybe the 6 energy just isn't worth it. Because if you run Kamakura Swarm, destroy a larva, these military units, you're just asking for Ghidorah to get out there and shit on you. Okay? That's why Ghidorah is the character that is shaping deck construction more than any other right now. And a big part of that is, we're going to get into this right now, there is not a lot of actual good anti-air units in this game. Okay, you got the military who just die. Destroy a larva was the previous best anti-air unit, but since Ghidorah blows them up in one hit, they're out. The best anti-air units in the game right now are Mechagodzilla and Batra and Mothra. Those are and Godzilla Ultima and Terrestrius. Those are the best anti-air units in the game right now. So of course they're all going to be very high tiered because they can hit King Ghidorah. Of course he can hit himself as well, which is also big. King Ghidorah is shaping the deck construction and metagame around him because if you got to play him behind the Godzillas because if he wasn't in the game, of course you'd have Hedorah probably fill in this role right now. Hedorah or Jet Jaguar. So swarms even without Ghidorah wouldn't be very good, but they would at least be a little better because you could still kind of damage Jet Jaguar. You could damage Hedorah. The fact that the swarms cannot damage King Ghidorah at all is very, very big, and like him keeping half the cards in lower tiers is a big part of why he is up here in S tier. Okay, the next S tier character, and one who I underestimated at first, but I'm not underestimating anymore, is Mothra. Mothra can kill you before you realize what the fuck is even happening to me. Before you say that sentence against this character, you're dead. She can kill low health Ultimas, she can secure kills on Godzilla 89 before he realizes what the hell is going on, because she's an air unit too. She can kill Ghidorah, kill Ultima, kill 89, and she can damage you like no tomorrow. If Mothra gets in, it's game over. She's probably the slipperiest alternate win condition in this game. If you could sneak a Mothra in, the game's over. Your health fades so much, and then her base health buff from the 4-star buff has made her surprisingly bulky. Like, you wouldn't think that she would be able to tank as many hits as she tanks right now, but she tanks a lot of hits from your captain. And she can just come in and sap up half your life for 4 costs, which is, she's 4 costs, right? Yeah. She can come in and sap up more life than any other 4-cost unit in the game right now. That's really big. Her almost continuous damage is huge at killing Ghidorah and Ultima and the cat and the leaders. She's very, very good. I don't know what they do to her. I feel like they need to kind of nerf her damage a little bit. Her health's okay. It's just her damage just needs to go. She is crazy. And then, like we said, and Ghidorah was the one we said, I forgot to say this. Ghidorah is the unit that once the metagame changes and we get more anti-air support, he'll probably be okay to just stay the way he is. Because the only reason that Ghidorah is so good right now is there's not a lot of shit that can hit him. Once decks are able to hit him and damage him a little bit more effectively, he might fall out of favor, which will help the swarms rise up. But just right now, since nothing can hit Ghidorah very hard, besides Ultima, of course, Ultima and Terestris and Mothra. But moving on. And then the final S tier unit, I see some people knock him down to A tier. With his damage, I still don't consider him an A tier unit. I think he does need nerfed, and that's still Godzilla 89. Godzilla 89 is still one of the best units in the game. 7 costs, so he's a little expensive. He's the most expensive unit in the game right now, but with the amount of anti-swarm support in the game right now with Ghidorah, Jaguar, Mothra, Hedorah, a lot of these anti-swarm units right now, Biollante is even kind of underrated, I'd say. Missiles are still okay. With all the anti-swarm support that's consistent right now, that's this character's best counter, okay, overall. You still have Ultima and Mothra, who are still kind of bad matchups for him, but, like being a bad matchup to Ultima and Mothra, and Ghidorah, I guess, can kill him because he can't hit Ghidorah, so if he's low health. But being a bad matchup to, like, those units is still not... It's still okay for him because he's an S-tier unit, because they're all the S-tier units as well. I don't consider losing to those characters any less damaging on your part. He is a very consistent Terestris killer, which is another reason he's S tier. If somebody is irresponsible with their Terestris and you just play Godzilla, that's pretty much a dead Terestris right off the bat. He can hit Terestris really, really hard consistently. Like, sometimes you'll play a different unit to kill him, like Jaguar, and the Terestris will be a higher level and then it'll be bulky. But Godzilla is probably one of the most consistent Terestris killers in the game. So he can single-handedly win a game for that reason if he kills a Terestris and then yours evolves. So he's still an S tier unit. Don't get it twisted. And those are the 4 characters that are really shaping the metagame right now. Every other character is ranked on how they relate to these units. That's why they're S tier. Okay? So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on. Okay? We're going to start with the helicopter supply. I don't know what some of these are called, but we're going to start with the helicopter supply. I'm going to say it's fucking D tier. Helicopter supply, it's kind of a win more unit. If you're winning more, it can kind of help you. But it's military. Military's not very good right now because of how much they get fucking killed by Ghidorah. It's just not good. Ghidorah's attack range is so wide, you're never going to be able to actually kill them. Maybe you can kind of stop Ultima for a little bit with them. So maybe there's an argument for C tier. You can slow him down a little bit. But for 6 costs, that's still not very good. There's a lot of better units for that. We'll get into the freeze later. But if you want to slow down Ultima, the freeze is way better for doing that. It's very outclassed, just not good. It can't even dent 89 very much, so it's not even good at that. Maybe you can kill Mothra with it. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. D tier unit, kind of trash. Anguirus, we'll do him next. Anguirus is in the B tier. These are all for the rest of the video. These are going to be all unordered. Those are the only ordered units. The S tier. Anguirus is going to be a B tier unit. 5 costs is a little expensive, well, that's his biggest problem. If he was 4 costs, he'd probably be A tier. But because he's 5 costs, that's kind of expensive. He can still work in some decks, and he's definitely probably still seeing some play because he's pretty good. I'm sure he could kill Terrestrius if he gets an opening because he can kind of still hit hard. He's kind of slow though, slow for 5 costs, so you have to make sure you play him at the right time to get some value out of him. So you can't really screw him up. He can't hit Mothra or Ghidorah, and he loses to both Godzillas one-on-one. So I'm sure he loses to Terrestrius one-on-one sometimes as well. So he's definitely not A or B tier, but he's still decent. He's still good. He hits hard. He's pretty good. You definitely don't want to underestimate him because if you do, you'll lose to him. Batra, I'm gonna put in the A tier. Batra is A tier because Batra hits King Ghidorah, and she can hit King Ghidorah pretty hard. Batra's a he, right? Batra can hit King Ghidorah and hit King Ghidorah pretty hard. Batra can do damage, so that's why he's definitely worth the evolution. Because he can damage Ghidorah, Godzilla, and I mean he'll still die in like 2 or 3 hits to Ultima, so he's still not that great. Not good enough to be S tier. But the fact that he can deal out some pretty big damage means to air units, he's one of the best anti-air units we got in the game right now. He's so very, very good for that reason. Definitely an A tier unit. The Batra's evolution, we're not even going to bother ranking those. Biollante. I think Biollante is getting a little too much shit right now. Some people think she's like bad. She's not bad. And I'll say she's not bad because she's 4 costs. She's not A tier, but she's still 4 costs. So you don't have to like get the maximum value out of her. Okay? If you see a irritating swarm, you can send her up. She can go over the water a bit faster, so she can get up there faster than some of those other units in the game. She's got some decent attack range. She can hit multiple units. Kind of like Jet Jaguar. So she's still good. She's not as good as Jet Jaguar because I don't think she damages as hard as he does, and I think she goes down a bit faster than he does as well. So she's not like A tier, but I wouldn't call her a non-threat. Some people call her a non-threat. I myself would not do that. I think it's still. You don't really know what levels the Biollante that are coming at you are. That might be a little bit lower than some of the others, because like Jet Jaguar had a training camp, so there are a lot of ways to earn his shard. That's why he's so accessible right now. I feel like at max level she might be a bit better than people are giving her credit for, and then she's good. She might be a good leader too. I'm not factoring leaders into this, but I feel like she's a little slept on. At 4 costs, she can help you cycle through your deck to get back to your heavy hitters a bit faster than some of the other units can. So I feel like she's getting just a little too much shit right now. I feel I'm put her in the B tier. Bomber. I'm going to throw Bomber in C tier. I feel like it got a nerf because of all the health changes that people got, so it doesn't really hit as hard. And then with the early game being so dominated by Terrestriuses and Ghidorahs and Ultimas and like everybody's running anti-air now. It was better in the last metagame, but like even though Destroy Larva has kind of been phased out, you still are going to be seeing Mecha Godzillas, Mothras, Ghidorahs, people that are really good at going in and just damaging it. And if the guy's any good, they can pretty much kill your bomber. But if it gets in, it can kind of win you some games, maybe. But it's 6 costs. It's still hard for me to tell you it's worth the investment. It might win you a few games, so it's not completely trash. But nah, I'm gonna throw it there. The black hole machine from I forget what this thing's called. The black hole thing. Oh my goodness, I hate doing tier lists on the phones, bro. The black hole thing, I don't ever see it. I don't know what to tell you guys. It kills swarms, but that's in such low demand right now. Killing swarms for 6 cost energy, and that's about all you can do. I mean, you can kind of like drag units away with it, so maybe it's C tier. I don't know. Every time I see it, though, I just feel like my opponent wasted 5-6 costs on pretty much nothing for no effect. It doesn't even. I feel like if they buffed its damage to some monsters, it might be okay, but right now I just don't feel like it's doing anything. Energy generator. Oh my god. Energy generator. I'm going to put the energy generator in the A tier. A lot of decks right now are high costs, and the energy generator is very good at like helping you get through get through your cards a bit faster to get to play some of those heavy hitters faster. With Godzilla 7 cost, Ultima 6, and then Terrestrius 6 cost, a lot of these decks need to get started, and they need to get started early. And that's just that's very, very important for that. It's also good because it allows you to start using your resources earlier without having to commit to anything yet. So if you open Energy Generator, you can like wait till you get up to 10 and then play it without having to like make a commitment to one of your evolutions yet. You can kind of feel out the board, start cycling through your cards in order to get a setup that you can feel like can protect Terrestrius, and then get to all those setups faster with it. So it's a very good card, and if your opponent chooses to deal with it, they have to spend resources on dealing with it. So it's definitely good. It definitely puts your opponent into lose-lose situations. So it's definitely a good card. It's not S tier because the meta can function without it. The Ghidorah into Ultima cycle, the Ghidorah, the Mothra, Ghidorah into 89, that can still function without it because of the amount of advantage that Godzilla 89 and Ultima provide. If you can get your cycle up and running, the two usually can provide you enough advantage to cycle around through your cards anyway, provided you're running some low-cost stuff. At least some of it. So it's not completely necessary for the meta to function, but it's doing very well. Gigan, I'm going to go ahead and put in the... I'm going to put Gigan in C tier. Gigan, I just feel like is... He doesn't have a lot of health for him to do what he's trying to do. For him to go in there and not attack anything until he gets to the captain is pretty bad in the meta right now. He's basically a grounded version of the thing next to him, the bomber. He's slowed down by the water. He doesn't attack anything. If you get him in, he can do some pretty big damage. So he's not completely trash, but it takes a lot to make him work. He can win you again. He might win you a game or 2 or 3, and you might go Gigan so broke. But at like 5 costs, he's not the most consistent threat on the roster. He is a threat. Your opponent does have to deal with him, but it's not that hard. And if the cycle is working, if the meta cycle is working, he can't threaten it at all because he's going straight for the captain. So if the opponent's set up, Gigan doesn't break you out of that cycle. So he's definitely just a win more unit. I'm not going to rank Godzilla 2021 yet because I straight up haven't seen him. I haven't seen the guy. I've heard speculation that he's B tier, but I myself am not going to irresponsibly rank him because I don't know anything about him yet. I know what he does, but I just haven't seen him in action and how he stacks up to the meta, so I'm just not going to rank him yet. Jet Jaguar, I'm going to throw in A tier. Jet Jaguar is very, very good right now. An argument could actually be made for S tier because he's that good. But I feel like as people level him up, as people level up everybody else, he might fall out of favor. So A is definitely a safe ranking. The reason that he's so good right now is because he is probably the most consistent 4-star unit. In that everybody probably has a high-level Jet Jaguar, so he's probably putting him in a lot of work right now. So in this particular metagame, he is in the A tier right now. He has the longest range and can kill Kamakuras and destroy in one hit. It's insane. He can like kill them without actually getting hit by them at all, which is very, very good, making him a Ghidorah alternative if you want to like not save up the cost, you want to just get some immediate advantage down there. So he's good at swarms, but that's not all he's good at. He can also beat a lot of monsters 1v1. He beats King Caesar 1v1. He can beat Ultima sometimes. If he has some support, he can be a very consistent Ultima killer as well. He can deal a pretty big chunk of damage to 89 and Ultima as well. He can do some pretty big damage. Then he'll beat a lot of monsters one-on-one. I think he beats Mecha Godzilla one-on-one, maybe? No, don't quote me on that. But when you have a Jet Jaguar up there 1v1ing something, you will be surprised at the amount of damage it takes even if it loses. Because if it loses, if Jet Jaguar loses something, he definitely softened it up big time. He doesn't have a lot of health, but at the same time, his block mechanic, he doesn't really need to have a lot of health. And then his spread damage allows him to hit multiple things at once. He is probably the best Mothra killer in the game, Mothra larva. He can probably kill her he's probably the most consistent, because your opponent plays Mothra larva. You don't know if he can kill Terrestrius or not, but if you send him after Mothra larva, he'll kill her pretty much every time. And then sometimes the spread damage thing will actually help him out, because again, he can spread. Very good at hitting the captain as well. There's not a lot he cannot do. So he's very good. With the right support, he can kill Godzilla 89 as well. The reason he's not S tier right now is because he loses to King Ghidorah and Mothra evolved. He cannot hit them at all. So that's pretty much just free advantage for your opponent. That's why they're not. But he beats pretty much all the ground things minus Ultima Terrestrius without support. So he's very good. He's a very good unit right now. Next, the Kamakura Swarm, we're going to put in C tier. It's not even that they're bad, it's just that they get countered by the meta right now extremely hard. So I'm not going to call them trash, because if your opponent doesn't have Ghidorah or Mothra, or any of the stuff that they can't actually hit, like, they can still damage Hedorah, okay. They can still damage 89, okay. Like, they have utility against some of these units. It's just that every deck in the game is, like, dedicated to countering them, because of the fact that Ghidorah can do other things besides kill them. The fact that Ghidorah can go in and just hit the captain without being attacked, kind of like Ultima can. Like stuff like that. Because Ghidorah has so much other utility, Ghidorah gets played in, like, every deck. So there's no reason to run a Swarm right now. Next, Hedorah. Hedorah is kind of unfortunate, because Hedorah's, like, still good. It's just that he doesn't really need to be played, because Ghidorah is doing so good right now. However, that being said, he's still an A tier unit in his own right. He does kind of have to evolve, so there's an argument could be made for B tier. But I'm going to go ahead and stick him in A tier still, because he's still okay. He can hit Ghidorah. If they gave him a damage buff, he could still be very, very good. But he's low cost. So if it's really not fair, he's kind of the same as Biollante, TBH, but I don't think his evolution is that much of a problem anymore, because he's not much of a threat. If you send your Hedorah out at this point, he'll pretty much guaranteed to evolve, because you have to invest your resources into stopping other things. So he's pretty much guaranteed his evolution. And then once his evolution comes out, it's surprisingly tanky and bulky. It can slow down an Ultima and a Ghidorah for a very long time while you build up your resources. That's probably why he's better than Biollante right now. But yeah, Hedorah is still a decent character. Just he's still pretty good. He's still pretty good. I'm thinking about trying him a bit more in this meta to see if there's anything else I can kind of squeeze out of him. Okay, Kamakuras. I'm going to put Kamakuras in B tier. Kamakuras is the best Swarm right now, because it's only 2 costs. The fact that Swarms get countered so hard right now means that that's not why Kamakuras is going to see play. Kamakuras is going to see play to get 1 kill on a Godzilla 89 if Ghidorah's not out yet. And then, like, if you could freeze Ghidorah or something, and then you could maybe kill 89 with it before the Ghidorah gets there. And then if in the right circumstances, they could also break Jet Jaguar's guard pretty fast. Like, if Jet Jaguar is, like, kind of off sync with the sync that he needs to be to actually kill the Kamakuras, they can get some pretty good damage on him before they die. Break his guard, and then stuff like that. And for 2 costs, even if they die quick, like, it's not too bad, because the main reason you played them was probably to cycle through cards faster. So, like, they're still a B tier unit. Again, and once this meta changes and Ghidorah's not so prominent, it's likely they'll get back up to the A tier. King Caesar. I'm going to put in B tier as well. He is okay. He's pretty good at killing Terrestrius. He can get down there. If he hits Terrestrius, he can hit Terrestrius pretty hard and secure a pretty nasty kill on him, which can help you win the game. So he's kind of worth his 5 costs because of the amount of damage he can do, but he is kind of hard to make work, though, because chances are, if your opponent is good, they slam Terrestrius in the back and they have a Mecha Godzilla or a Jet Jaguar in front, so it can kind of be hard to get an opening with King Caesar. But if you get an opening with King Caesar and you secure a play with King Caesar, especially if that play is killing Terrestrius, and stopping an evolution, it's likely you will win the game. So, since King Caesar has a win the game condition, and like almost, and he can get in there and his dash attack can kill a lot of other monsters, it's one of the only other big damage things in the game. like, and you do not want your Ultima or your Godzilla 89 or your Godzilla Terrestrius or your anything to get hit by a King Caesar dash. So if King Caesar's dashing, your opponent will invest resources into stopping it. And since swarms are not as prevalent anymore, it's likely that whenever King Caesar hits like a Mecha Godzilla or a Jet Jaguar, not Jet Jaguar, maybe Jet Jaguar with no shield, Anguirus 89, whatever he hits is gonna like be something you want him to be hitting because of how bad swarms are right now. So he's not the worst right now. All right, Kong. Kong, I'm gonna put in B tier. Kong is kind of mad, dude. 6 costs is a lot to ask right now. 5 costs is a lot to ask right now. 4 costs is kind of a lot to ask right now. So your 4-star unit, your 4 cost units better be doing things. But for 6 cost for a bulky swarm counter, that's not what you need, bruh. He's probably better than Anguirus because he does counter swarms a bit harder, and he can hit Godzilla 89 and Ultima for some okay damage if he gets it, and he's kind of bulky. But like he offers nothing that a 6 cost unit should be doing, especially since he's going to be going away in January. Like there's no reason to like invest money, currency, or time into getting Kong. So, I mean, he's okay. Like, if you're a very dedicated Kong enthusiast, you could probably make him work. But there's better units in the game. Biollante is probably better than him, because Biollante can do everything that he does in exchange for 4 costs and slightly less health. So, if Biollante is better than him, we already discussed how Hedorah is better. Like, Hedorah is pretty much better Kong for 4 costs and in evolution. So, like Kong for 6 costs, no, not in this meta where you need to save up your energy for these other high cost pieces that can have way more impact on a match. Destroy Larva, C tier. Destroy Larva, C tier, because King Ghidorah fucks it, and Jet Jaguar fucks it, and Hedorah fucks it. When you're fucked by 3 A tier characters, that is not good. With 2 A tiers and 2 S tiers, when they absolutely fuck you, that's just not good at all. So, yeah. Again, they're not necessarily bad cards, and if you can, like, especially at these lower ranks, when the meta is not going to be as prominent, you will be able to put in a lot of work with them. So they're not, like, entirely trash, and if the meta's not in the match, they're not entirely trash. The Monster Destroy Tower, I'm going to have in B tier. An argument could be made for A tier, but, like, for like 5 or 6 costs, whatever it's worth, for you to not contribute, an entirely defensive unit is not very good in the game right now. It's not the best thing in the game. You have to have something devoted to offense. Now, there's defensive units in the game that cost less than this, and then your opponent can kind of play around it by sticking things in the back, pushing the other lane, or if you throw it in the middle, but like mostly playing things in the back. And if you throw this down early game, your opponent knows you just spent a lot of resources on it, so it can kind of like get a Terrestrius out after a little bit. Like if you put that down, it kind of gives the opponent a plan on what they have to do to evolve their Terrestrius. So it's not the best thing in the world. However, it does do a lot of damage, and if it can clutch out a secure kill, it might break your opponent's cycle to where you can get started. So it's not terrible, but and like you do have to worry about it when you see it. So it's not horrible, but there are better units at the game at doing what it's trying to do, at like being defensive. So it's okay. It's B tier. Tank base. Tank base was bad in the last meta. It's even worse in this meta. Very trash unit. It's Ghidorah food, and it's that simple. It's Ghidorah food. Tanks used to be actually okay, so an argument could be made for C tier, but I'm gonna say D tier right now in the current meta. Nah, that's not fair. That's not fair. I'll put them in C. They're just right where the other swarms are. That's not fair. They're 4 costs, so you can cycle through your deck with them a little bit better than some of these others, but the fact that they're just Ghidorah food right now is pretty bad. If you run tanks, you're just asking to lose. Mecha Godzilla. Mecha Godzilla is an A tier unit right now. He can hit Ghidorah. That's big. The fact that he hits Ghidorah is big. He's very good at defending your evolving units. If you have a Mecha Godzilla in front of a in front of a Terrestrius, that's a pretty consistent setup to helping your Terrestrius evolve, because he can hit Ghidorah. Because a lot of people, when they see Terrestrius, they'll soften it up and then kill it with Ghidorah or Godzilla or their own. But Mega Godzilla, he's pretty good and bulky in his own right. So if you put him out there, you can kind of distract your opponent long enough to secure a Terrestrius evolution. If you separate them enough but keep them kind of close together, I don't know. He's pretty good at helping Terrestrius evolve. And then he's 4 costs, so it helps you cycle through your deck a little faster, as well as he's a pretty decent unit. He's kind of bulky, can win certain 1v1s, and kill softened up Ghidorahs. That's really, really big in the metagame right now. In a land where a lot of the 4-star units, like Jaguar and Biollante, they struggle at hitting Ghidorah, it is good to have a unit that is 4 stars that can damage King Ghidorah. That's very, very helpful. Megaguras is trash. Probably the worst monster in the game right now. I'm going to put her in D tier. She can hit King Ghidorah, but it doesn't matter because her attack doesn't do anything. Her debuffs are pretty bad. I honestly wish they would give her a full rework. For 6 costs, she is completely not worth it. If she hit a little harder and they buffed her attack a little bit, maybe. I mean, she is air, so maybe argument for C tier, but every time I see Megaguras, I just run it over. And then every time I get a daily to reuse Megaguras, I always give her a try and hope she'll do something, but she always just fucking dies. So I think she's pretty bad, probably the worst monster in the game right now. I hope they fix her, because I actually like her as a monster. Manila. My man is A tier. I'm sorry, guys. I saw a tier list. I went on a live stream and made a tier list with somebody. I came in a little late, though. I saw Manila down in C. I don't think that's accurate anymore, guys. Manila is actually fucking insane. The buff he got was stupid. From 4 to 2 costs, that is huge. He got buffed, and they lowered his cost. My man is so quick. He can get up there in the action real faster than even Rodan can sometimes. So I don't believe we've ranked yet. But he sprints up there for 2 costs. He's very good at getting your deck cycled through for that reason too, because he's 2 costs. But my man can get up there, and he is very transformative because he stuns the enemy monsters. Okay. He's bad against some spread units like Hedorah and Jaguar. Sure, he is bad against them. He's bad against, he's got low health, so, he can go down in a few hits to Ghidorah. Once he gets targeted, he's pretty much gonna die. But if you can position him right, this guy can win games. I had a game the other day where my Terrestrius was fighting another Terrestrius 1v1, and the opposing Terrestrius was going to win. It was going to win the 1v1. Manila came up behind it, stunned it, stopped its attack, and then my Terrestrius went out, immediately evolved, and I pushed for win. Pushed for game immediately after and got it. All because Manila went up there and stunned it. That's crazy, dude. Manila, and then he can also stun Ghidorah, which is huge. He can hit Ghidorah. If he stuns Ghidorah even once and your Terrestrius ends up beating it in a 1v1 and your Terrestrius evolves, that could be game. Manila he's kind of situational, so maybe an argument could be made for B tier, but at the low cost effort, the fact that you're cycling through your deck to get some better cards, I still think he has enough utility to be in the A tier. He also, people don't know this, he can also stand at that very irritating range in this game where the captain cannot hit you when you're using him. So, if your opponent ignores him as he sits there and spams a smoke ring at them, they can take a lot of damage over time. Not a whole lot, but, it can win you a game. Manila's utility can be used to help you win matches. And if you don't believe that, I encourage you to run him. He's not hard to level up. He's a bronze. You can get him to level 10 pretty fast. And then once he's level 10, I started running him at level 8 and he started putting in work. But you can run this guy at a pretty low level, so he's not that big of a time investment. I really recommend trying him out. He's very, very good. Missiles. I'm going to put missiles in B tier. B or C, I don't know, this is hard. 5 costs, and they can't really kill as much as they used to. But I'll throw them in B because they can actually hit Ghidorah. If you have a soft enough Ghidorah, it might be worth it to kill it with missiles, especially if it's outside your range. But that being said, they're definitely not as good anymore because of the base bulk buff. They can still be used to win games on the leaders, so they're not that horrible. They're not any worse than B, but they're definitely not as good anymore. Magura got nerfed, and honestly, I'm gonna put Magura in C tier. I'm putting Mothra in C tier because of the high cost. He still has a lot of utility, so he's not like bottom of the barrel garbage. But because he can still get out there, be used to defend. He's still kind of bulky, so he won't like he can survive some hits, and he can be used to like win games. But at high cost, like at 6, I don't think he's worth that cost anymore. He's not worth 6 consistently. He can maybe win you a game. He can maybe win you 2 or 3 or 4 games, but because of his nerf and the amount of damage he does, that has gotten reduced. I don't think his 6 costing ass is as consistent or desirable as some of the other units in the game at this particular point. Rodan, I'm gonna put Rodan in the C tier as well. I'm putting Rodan in C because, I don't know, I'm not ordering this. I'm putting Rodan in C because he has low health. If Rodan had better health, even without a cost reduction, if they just raised his base health, he would easily be a B tier unit because of his incredibly fast anti-airing capabilities. But because he dies so fast, he can't do the job you need him to do. You send him out to kill Ghidorah, he's gonna die. Or he gets blasted out of the sky by Ultima into it. He cannot break the cycle or have any hope in hell of breaking it. He gets 1v1 by a Terrestrius. He's a Terrestrius opening. If you play him at the beginning of the match, your opponent knows that the Terrestrius is safe to come out and at least kill one thing and build up some cost to kind of defend him. So he can lose you games for that reason because he gives Terrestrius a free opening, which isn't good. Blasted by Ultima. The only argument you have for using him is you try to kill King Ghidorah, but because he has such low health, Ghidorah damages him more than other monsters. So if you try to again use him to kill something, kill Ghidorah, or like use him to try to cheese out a kill on 89, it just gives Terrestrius an opening to come out. Which some people use Godzilla first as their opening play, and then put Terrestrius out when they see what your response is. So if your response is Rodan to Godzilla, yeah, the Terrestrius is coming out. So, however, he's not trash because of how fast he is. If you're winning in advantage state, this guy can put some real pressure on the opponent real fast, especially if you sneak him around to the other side. In those games where a side push starts to happen, if you sneak Rodan down to the opposing side, he can get some fast wins. When he gets to the leader, he can do a lot of damage. Very quick. He's got a pretty fast attack, too. So he's not bottom of the barrel, and with a few buffs, he could be good. But just right now, he's kind of below average. And then the last unit, I believe, is the Healing Choir, which I don't see very much. I'm inclined to put, like, D tier, as I think it got a nerf. However, there are people that can still use it really, really well. And if you can heal up your, evolution guys so they evolve, that's pretty much GG. Like, if you use it to secure an evolution, that can pretty much win you a game right there in its own right. So it's still it still has limited utility, but I don't really see it anymore. And then Space Godzilla, I'm going to go ahead and put him in C or D tier. There's an argument for C tier here as well. Just not very good. He kind of just gets steamrolled by everybody. His attack it feels like he should hit harder, but he just doesn't. And I think he's 6 cost. So at 6 cost, you're not getting a lot of value for him. Those crystals can actually end up hurting you in some situations, especially when he's leader, but that's something else. He's just not very good. I wish they would take another look at him. Oh my goodness. Oh, how many units have got left? Okay, Train Bomb. I'm gonna put Train Bomb in B as well because of the fact that it can be used to like secure some cheap kills. Although it might be C because it can't hit Ghidorah. Yeah, that's probably more accurate. It can't. It's one lower cost, but it can't hit Ghidorah. I think that cancels out. I think because missiles are worse for cycling. You can at least use it to cycle through the deck a little faster. But it's really bad at doing that too because there's better options. Okay, I'm going with C. It can't hit Ghidorah. If it could hit Ghidorah, it might be a little better. But like, just no. It's just not worth it when there's everything it's trying to do. There's better shit in the game for doing it right now. It can kill swarms, but like I said, that's in low demand right now. Freeze. Freeze is an underrated card. I think this is the last card, right? I'm going to put Freeze in A tier, which is, I believe, is the highest placing I've seen it ever. 10 seconds of stall is incredible. That's only when it's at level 1. It's at, like, you can use this without even having to level it up very much. 10 seconds of stall is really, really, really big. Especially when the game right now is all about seconds. Can you keep your Treestress alive for another few seconds? Can you keep this alive for seconds? Can you kill this in like a few seconds later? Can you stall the Godzilla that's coming towards you for another second while you get your energy back up? This is a very, very good card for 2 cost. If it was 4 cost, it would probably be B tier, but it probably wouldn't be as good. But at 2 cost in a meta full of high cards where every deck has bad rotation, if you can get value out of this and use it to stall an enemy to secure an evolution, that's big. That's very, very big. A lot of the A tier cards are sneaky cards. It's a sneaky card that, like, once it does one play, you've pretty much won the game off of what it needed to do. That's like Manila and the Freeze. Both two cost units that can pretty much sneakily win you games. That's big. That is very big in a meta full of high value, with a bunch of high energy costing cards or meta. If you have a deck that's very good at cycling in the meta right now, it could really kind of be offbeat. And so, I'm fucked up. That could really throw your opponent off, dude. It really, really could. So, that's my tier list right now. I really hope they go through and change this meta. I don't like where it's going, but this is how it is. And I'm admittedly having fun with the game still, because I'm doing good in this meta. I don't think it's a good meta. I don't think it's healthy. But, like, I think this meta is the one I'm having more success with as opposed to the last one. Because I feel like my investing choices last season are benefiting this season just a little bit more. Alright, but that's my tier list, so I'm getting the hell out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments below.